My hat!
I decided to bring out my TRX4M and TRX4MT, and on one of the bodies I used double stick tape to put my SkyRC monitor there and my GPS on the other one. Therefore, when I test these, I'm going to test the speed, acceleration. I'll have some of that information in a bit, but I'm just going to swap the bodies, so every run with the same device will be with the same body. Now, some of the differences between them, well, the chassis is really different on the MT. I'm just going to call it the monster truck. And if you look at the lower plate where the arm's attached to, all those links, that one's a little longer, so you're not going to be able to swap those between the two vehicles because of the added length. But here we go. So, the only thing that I did was when I set the GPS to track acceleration, I set it to 5 meters, and that's the distance. I don't need 30 meters or anything greater than that. I'm not trying to do a quarter-mile equivalency, and to be honest, they reach top speed really fast. Now, for me, I have them both. The only reason why I have them is because, well, let's face it, they're amazing bodies. These look like a 79 Ford Ranger, or, well, F-150 with a Ranger package. That's the reason why I got them. The Defender's pretty cool too. But here are the results. So if we look at the M, it does about 5 kilometers based on this GPS, and you can see the acceleration if you pause. So about 4 seconds, say, for both of them, whereas the MT, surprisingly, a lot faster. And that's probably because of the much larger tires that it has, so 6 kilometers per hour. And that's quite a difference. Now, if you look at this GPS, at one point, if you pause it, the monster truck got 7 kilometers per hour based on the GPS, but it's usually 6. And the regular one, the M, does 5 kilometers per hour. One time I think it did 4, but it was going at an angle, so I had to steer. And that's a pretty large difference. And I say pretty large difference even though it's a kilometer, because going from 5 to 6 kilometers, that's 20% faster. Because these are so slow, just adding a kilometer makes a big difference. Now, there's a lot of things that you can do to make them faster. You can go all out, just replace the system. Traxxas makes a brushless motor. You could probably try using the Hobby Wing Quick Run, and they have different motors to select from. But here, the point is, if you were to buy one just out of the box, what should you consider? And the main thing you should consider is, what are you going to use the vehicle for? And any RC, you always want to see what your budget is and what the purpose of the vehicle is, what you're planning on doing. Shelf Queen, get either. They're both beautiful looking trucks. But if you look at the surface where I'm driving them, now here on concrete, if you're only driving them on concrete, I don't know why you would, but I mean, more power to you. The MT version is going to flip a lot easier than the other one, in my experience with these two. Maybe your surface is a little different, your tires, maybe they're a little different for some reason, I have no idea. But if you have to go over some of the river rock that I have, or the large grass, because I've not mowed the grass in 2 weeks, I did that on purpose, and you're going to see some videos where I compare the height of the grass to the vehicle. The MT actually does very, very well, and I really like the MT. So are you going to use it just for bashing around your front or backyard, or maybe a park? You should probably consider the MT because of the larger tires. Because speed, not much difference, right? Here it reads 5 kilometers, the other one is 6. But notice how these ride. So this is just the regular M. And I need to say this right now. If you're considering the pre-runner, which I have 2 of them, one of them has a burnt motor. The reason why it has a burnt motor is because originally I was going to do this video comparing the 3, but I fried the motor on this grass. Whereas these, the motor didn't care. Even though it's a tiny little motor on these 4-wheel drive vehicles, on the M, it was barely noticeably warm, and the other one, it did not care. I could have, just recharged it, thrown some packs in there, and just kept going. But that's one of the nice things about these, because these have locked differentials. If you don't want to go, say, 50 miles an hour, I'm exaggerating with the speed on these little things, you're going to break something, and you just want to have fun and bash about, maybe have some river rock, some tall grass, this one has locked differentials, it's going to do a lot better. Whereas the pre-runner is going to have open differentials, and what's going to happen with that is you're always going to get at least one wheel that is going to overspin compared to the rest of them. And you also have that LCG, well, yeah, I would say they're LCG. So there's more surface where the grass is rubbing underneath. And, well, I burnt the motor. That's what happened with that one. And it's now sitting on a shelf. We'll see what I do with that one. I haven't really decided yet. But these are actually quite a lot of fun. And I finally decided to do this and just drive it back and forth on the river rock, so hopefully you can see how it just runs. But I'm not trying to do stunts, I'm not really... keep in mind I'm driving with one hand most of the time because I'm holding the camera with the other hand. I need a better system. My wife used to be my cameraman, but I don't know. I think I wasn't paying her enough, she quit. No, I'm kidding. She all of a sudden has this whole idea of how she needs to take care of the kids. Sheesh, I mean, that's what grandma's for. No, I'm kidding, I'm joking. I'm actually glad she's responsible and allows me to keep buying toys. But watch this here. This is actually a pretty steep slope. It doesn't look very steep, but it's actually quite steep. On the MT, going over the little bump is a challenge, but if you practice go slow, you can still go up. I wouldn't worry too much about the motor, to be honest. Here the problem is the tires. I need some different tires to go along with it. Now, one of the things that I noticed is the following. The tires on the MT, because they're so much larger, they absorb a lot of the imperfections on the surfaces that you might be running. Whereas the smaller tires on the regular M, those do not absorb as much impact. And it's a good thing it only has a single shock and spring in each corner, because the MT, I don't have it on video, I should have had it on video, but I swapped the tires on both of them, and the MT is just bouncy, really bouncy, so definitely needs the MT tires. Right here, I was just putting it on the rock so you could see, but I was trying to drive with one hand, and these are the stock controllers. I don't have the knob so I can steer with one hand. That's the issue. But grabbing the MT, just watch how the MT takes that river rock and then goes over that garden divide between the river rock and the grass. That's something that this one handles quite well that the M does not. So if I had to pick one of these vehicles for this particular terrain and I was going to leave it just stock, completely stock, I would go with the MT. It's just better for bashing, jumping over these surfaces. Now, if I was going to do a little more, say, dedicated crawling, more precise driving, going up boulders, different surfaces, I want to say, well, I shouldn't say prepared surfaces, but I'm going to do more skillful driving, let's say. I would probably go with the M. And I think the M is better for that reason, especially with the wheels and tires that it has. And the center of gravity is much lower on the M. So later I'm going to put this one on top of that same boulder that I put the M on, and it's just going to flip over. I mean, this thing pops wheelies day and night, and that's just because of the design. The way the chassis is designed, yes, the transmission's relatively low, but you have the receiver, which is high. The body is high. See how it keeps flipping? It just keeps flipping. So for this one, the MT, if you want to put some brass up front, that would be a pretty good idea to do that, at least the diff cover. But the M, one of the beautiful things about the M is if you want a little more height, say you want to run the monster truck tires, you can get portal axles, and what's the name of the company? Injora, I believe it is. They make portal axles. I believe it's about 5mm height difference. I could be wrong. But they do have portal axles with a reduction, so they do have a gear reduction as well. I don't remember the ratio as at this time, but I believe it's a 16-20 with a reduction for the portal axles. Maybe I should get some. I'll probably. Yeah. Anyway, we'll consider. Don't tell my wife I'm planning on spending more money. She doesn't know how much money I spent yet. She can figure it out. My mother-in-law watches my videos. She'll tell her. Please don't tell her. You can visit the kids whenever you want. No, I'm kidding. She can visit them whenever she wants. But those, I would say, are some of the main things to consider. Now, here it is. There's the MT, and I'm barely going to touch the throttle. See, slow. There it goes. Bye. So you definitely need to put some brass up front if you want it, say, to crawl with the MT. The MT is not a crawler. But here we go. This is the backyard, and I did the same thing, and I'm actually going to have a few shots here, some close-ups, where you can see the grass. From up here, it doesn't look that tall. Maybe it does. It looks tall. I need to mow it. I promise you, I assure you, I should say, my wife does have a husband. It's just at this time he's decided that playing with RCs and recording them is more important than mowing the lawn. But at some point he will. Oh, the LEDs. This is for the LEDs. Those are pretty cool. Check them out. So I stopped in the shadow. This is just amazing. To be honest, even if you're just going to put it on the shelf, it's worth getting both of them. I would get the MT just because of the blower on top. And Traxxas does have a Bigfoot 4x4x4 kit. It's not released yet. I forget the price. I don't remember if it's $60, $70. I do not remember. Comes with the stickers, a new grill, and some other parts to, turn into a Bigfoot, which is really, really awesome. This body's already a little scratched, not too much. Maybe I'll just get another one and do the Bigfoot. No, I'm going to do it to this one. But this is why I like the MT. So I actually really like the MT because I can just go over tall grass. It's a mini basher, and even though it's not that fast, it's relatively fun, and you can put some obstacles. I'm not going to do the aluminum cans, but I'm going to put a brick, and I will go over it, and I'm going to do the same thing with the M, so you can see the difference. So if you go really, really fast, you're going to screw up. I don't even know why I did that. But if you go slow, I mean, it's not a car. Oh, that's what I should do. I should get those, take some of my old, was it 1/24 scale model cars and jump over them with this. But if you go slow, look at how smooth it is going over the brick. Now, okay, that's not the truck, it's the driver. I'm using one hand. That's my excuse for my lousy driving. But it just goes over, especially with the chassis, the way it's designed. It does a very good job of going over obstacles. So climbing is not its strength, but definitely going over obstacles is pretty fun. And as you can see, it wheelies all day long, if that's your thing. Here, I was paying too much attention to the truck and the camera. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if we're looking at the regular truck, because of those small tires and it's lower to the ground, that LCG, it struggles a little more, but notice the grass. Notice how tall that grass is. That's what it's going over. That's something the pre-runner couldn't do. I mean, the pre-runner would sort of struggle, get stuck here and there because of the open divs, and I burnt the motor. I just fried it completely. That's what happens when you test something before you record. I just wanted to know what to expect, and I fried it, so now I know. I do have the other one, I just didn't feel like frying a second motor. As fun as it might seem. This one here, I don't think I turned the lights on. I don't think I plugged them in. But again, notice the grass. Notice this thing is in deep when it comes to it. And it still runs well, so whichever one you end up going with is going to be fun. And they both look amazing. And there is a C10 version. I could be wrong on the Chevy model. Maybe it's a different model, but there is a Chevy model that you can get as well. So if you like that, those boxy bodies, there's that option. Now this one here, I got the blue. There's also a black version. If Traxxas ever made not that Traxxas is going to watch this video and do this favor for me, but if Traxxas ever came out with a 1994 flare side body, I would be all over that. I would be all over that. But again, look at the M. The M runs still very well on tall grass. Wheeling, not so much. If you put some brass in the rear, it will wheelie. But as it is, not so much. You want the MT for that. And if you're wondering, oh, why don't you put the MT tires on the M? It doesn't work. The body's too low. And I am going to show you toward the end because for that one, I do have footage. But that's the issue. You're going to rub on the body all the time, especially when you turn. The front wheels are going to lock. Now here, if you look at this this paver, I keep calling it a brick, but this paver, the bumper doesn't clear it, so you have to sort of throttle to bring the suspension up, and then it'll put the bumper over the paver, and then you can crawl. But because of that, and you notice how the links hit because of the way the suspension is and the chassis is, I mean, it's lower center of gravity. It'll be more difficult to get over obstacles if you're just trying to bash. So you're probably going to have to do some modifications. And these vehicles right now, I believe the M is about $180. There's a sale on the MT, 2 for $300. Regular price, I want to say, is about $200. But let's look at the weights for these. So here is the MT. So the MT is just the chassis, no battery, 442 grams. Now, if I grab the body that corresponds, we're looking at 578, and if we add the battery pack, it's 617 grams. So that is the dressed weight. Now, if we grab the M is going to be lighter, 341. The body's slightly lighter than the other one, so 473, and then with the battery, we're looking at 511. So if you want something for speed later on that you want to modify, you may want to go with the M. I mean, the battery's 38 grams. You may want to go to the M. It's lower to the ground. It'll be better. Body for the M is 132 grams, and the body for the MT, a little heavier, not too much. It's going to be 135. So not a big deal. I'd rather take the extra weight and have that cool looking blower. But either one looks amazing. Oh, and here it is with the MT tires. So you're going to see how it gets stuck. Especially those front tires. But again, those are the things to consider. Both of these vehicles are awesome and they're amazing. I really enjoy driving them both. If you're just planning on bashing about in your backyard, once in a while maybe you'll have some tall grass in a park or maybe some river rock, the MT is going to go over the obstacles a lot better. It's just going to be more fun to drive. But if you want, say, a little more precise driving, you want to go into the whole precision crawling, then you would consider the M. This being said, I hope you enjoy the vehicle. I hope it was informative or at least entertaining. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Convince my wife to get me the portal axles.
What? Oh, my hair! My tongue! My rod!